All right, well, welcome back to Power Rankings. We've had 2 Major League Pickleball events, so we figured we would cover the changes in the Power Rankings of all the different teams, all of the different individual teams within the teams. We're also going to be doing a couple of bonus categories, including Fan Favorite, which you guys voted on, as well as Matty Pickles taking us through what inanimate objects are going to have the most impact on professional pickleball, because as always, inanimate objects are a huge part of this game that we all love. But yeah, we had 56 votes from you guys, the fans, on the power rankings of all of the different things. So thanks again to everybody who contributed. Hey guys, we could use your help with the next Power Rankings episode. We're going to be including which pro you would most want to partner with, which pro you would most want to body bag, and which paddle reviewing nerds you think are the best. So please submit your votes by using the link in the description down below and help out me, Matty Pickles, KK, and T-Dog with the next Power Rankings episode. And we're going to start off with we're going to have Kaitlyn start us off.
All right, guys, today we're going to be reviewing a total of 5 categories in this order. First, we're going to start off with MLP women's doubles teams, followed by MLP men's doubles teams. After that, we're going to go into mixed doubles, only the top 16. Then we're going to go into MLP premier level teams, ranking them in order. And finally, we're going to get into Matty Pickles' random ass inanimate objects. You can all tweet at Matty Pickles about what you think there, but we're excited to talk about that.
It sounds boring, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, I promise you.
It's worth sticking around for. We got the spiciest takes of the entire weekend.
All right, Tice, you want to kick us off with women's doubles?
Yeah, let's get into women's doubles. So we have all 3 of the top 3 are the same. They may be in a little bit of a different order, but we have Georgia and Tyra, we have Anna Lee and Megan Dazan, and we have AB and Kate. So those are all in the top 3 of all of our rankings, including the fans. Just wanted to point out the fans, however, there was a drastic difference between the 3. So fans had a score of 83 for Georgia and Tyra, a score of 63 for AB and Kate, and then a score of 32 for Anna Lee and Megan. So there was a very large discrepancy, much closer in our rankings. Zane, I'm going to put it to you first. Dallas went 4-0 in their first matches, and you have them ranked 3rd. Why is that?
Yeah, well, who'd they play in their first 4 matches? Exactly, Tice. They didn't play anybody.
I know the Hustlers. They played the Hustlers.
Okay, they played the Hustlers, yeah. I think, I don't read too much into a 4-0 start is great, and Georgia Johnson obviously looked like a complete stud, MVP of the weekend, but they've played nobody. They're not tested, and last year they didn't have an incredible record. So just because they're 4-0, I don't have them at the number 1 spot. I think, slightly more battle-tested teams of Anna Lee. Well, Anna Lee and Megan Dazan aren't necessarily battle-tested, but Kate Fahey and Anna Bright have played together a ton. I think Megan and Anna Lee win a majority of matches against Georgia and Tyra.
Yeah, and to Zane's point, they haven't really been tested that much. They did get an 11-1 win over Leah Jansen and Paris Todd. And other than that, they beat the Chicago Slice women, Callie Smith, Vivian David, Caitlin Christian and Tammy Emmerich of the Hogs, and the New York Hustlers women. But while that's not an impressive rundown of teams that they beat, the point differential is 44-8. They absolutely demolished everybody. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but Georgia Johnson at one point won 42 straight points before her opponent scored in that first event. So definitely something to be said there. But ultimately, for me, I'm just going to stick with the Dallas Flash until they lose, just because of what we've seen recently from them on the PPA Tour. Those results still do carry a little bit of weight to me in this category. So that's why I decided to keep them at number 1.
Got it. Okay, so New Jersey goes from 1st to 3rd by going 4-2. They actually got one more loss already this year than ALW and Mari had all of last year. Kaitlyn, is there any reason to start panicking if you're New Jersey with 2 losses?
I don't think so. I think we all kind of agreed that heading into the first tournament or 2 for the New Jersey Fives, they were going to have some things to sort out. Anna Lee and and Megan haven't really played together much outside of this event. They didn't play PPA tours together. So there's a lot to get used to there. They're going up against some of the top teams. I think they're going to, they'll work their kinks out. They'll understand. I mean, Megan's seeing a ton of balls. I don't know if we have the stats there, but she's seeing majority of balls. She's getting attacked. I think it takes a little bit to understand that, feel the pressure, and be able to handle it. But I think Megan overall did a really good job so far, and I think they'll grow in time.
Got it. Okay. Last question, I think, for women's dubs is the biggest riser in the power rankings, from last month to this month, is the Miami Pickleball Club. That's Maya Bowie and Milan Rain. They went from 14th to 10th. Anybody have any thoughts on them as a duo?
Yeah, like Maya Bowie's good. She's playing good mixed too. Like, I think that going into this, nobody really knew what to expect. And you can't give complete credit just to Maya, but she certainly outperformed expectations. Her and Millie are gelling decently enough, and I feel like she's overperformed expectations, and as a result, I think Miami has overperformed expectations by a good amount.
I would also argue, if we had this pod after the first event, this would have been a very extremely different polling. Maya did not have a good first event. I think they either got pickled or very close to pickled one time. But I saw like vast improvement, to your point, Zane, in that second event. And to be fair, Miami has a really tough schedule. They're one of the only teams playing in all three events. And when you draft somebody based on like high level potential, and then you have to play so many events early, that is really, really rough. So I hear that. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, so I had Orlando and Miami kind of interchangeable almost to me at 9 and 10. But what is very interesting is coming up MLP Austin in the field is the Dallas Flash, the New Jersey Fives, and the Texas Ranchers. I mean, these are three of my top four women's teams. So we're really going to know a lot about Orlando and Miami by the end of that weekend. Also, speaking about how they're playing the first three events, Orlando and Miami will actually have completed the league-wide round robin after these first three events. They'll have played everybody once. So we'll have a really good idea of where they stand, and they will still have 10 rematches to go against 15 of the remaining teams.
And the only thing I wanted to add is I think this is a side note, but Jessie Irvin looks the happiest she's ever been playing Major League Pickleball. And I think that's something we need to bring up, whether it's Jeannie Bouchard, whether it's her playing with the Phoenix Flames and their energy on the sideline, whether it's Jack Sock and Tyson. I don't know what it is, but she looks to be having so much fun.
Yeah, that's.
I have a feeling we'll talk about them in mixed doubles specifically. Yeah, they're looking really good.
Yeah, they're vibing. Jeannie's playing good ball. I tweeted that out. Like, she's actually playing very good ball. I could see her being a top 20 doubles player by the end of the year, actually. Like, she's went from, being blown up to holding her own in women's doubles, which is why I had them slightly ahead of Maya Bowie and Millie Rain.
Yeah, I think she's definitely better in women's doubles than mixed. I think her dinking needs a lot of work. I think she's better with her hands. She doesn't miss much. She gets everything back. So I think that's interesting. But once again, just Jessie Irvin, she played one of the best matches of her life. I think it was against Lacey and Samantha Parker. She was on fire, took over like I've never seen before, and she's doing it with a smile. So it's good to see.
Yeah, they pickled them in Orlando. That was like the craziest result I saw that whole weekend. I was like, wait, that can't, maybe the MLP website is wrong. Surely it can't be, though. All right, I will turn it over to Matty to talk about men's doubles.
Yeah, so jumping into men's doubles right away, we had a unanimous number one team. We had the St. Louis Shock, Hayden Patriquin and Gabe Tardio. They are 7-1, and their lone loss is to the surprisingly dangerous Miami Pickleball Club. We'll talk a little bit about them later. At number 2, we had the Orlando Squeeze. They were unanimously number 2, except for Zane Navratil. Zane had them at 3. Dallas Flash checked in at number 3, flat from our preseason standings. And then the first team I really want to dive in on here is the team that we have at number 4. We have the Texas Ranchers. They are up 3 spots from our number 7. Now they're at number 4. Kaitlyn, you had them the highest amongst us at number 3. What has jumped out to you the most about them so far? What's impressed you?
Eric Onsens. I've been a big fan of Christian Alshon for a very long time. I don't know, a year and a half, I'd say, or a little over a year and a half. But Eric Onsens has impressed me. Last summer, I went to a Miami event with Electrolit in New York City, and we were all playing together. And that was the first time where I really saw his ability and his drive to win and compete. And then ever since, I think he's got long arms. He's got really long arms. I think Christian and him are very hard to play against. I think they had a hell of a run in Orlando together. I think his upside is tremendous. I don't think we've seen the top of his game yet. So I'm very bullish on him.
I think a lot of people are too. They went up 3 spots. They were previously ranked 7th, and they're up to 4th now. I mean, I like them as a team. There's just nowhere to bail out on that court. There's offense everywhere. And so when they're playing at their potential, I think that they're the ones dictating pretty much any match they play, with the possible exception of playing against Gabe and Hayden. So when they're firing, it's a very, very dangerous thing because there's not a good spot on the court to go.
One thing I have to say is he absolutely blew Riley Newman off the court during MLP Orlando. It was very awkward to watch. I think, Riley adjusted more in mix in that match, but I don't think he's ever seen that pace. Obviously, Onsens is using a Yola, but I mean, I don't even know if that matters. Eric has, he's very powerful. He's very dangerous. That's what I would call him. I think he's a dangerous player. So that was one to watch.
Yeah, that match that Kaitlyn talks about at Orlando with, of course, the orange courts, which do deserve a quick mention. People talked a lot about the serves in that match, but it really was more than the serves. It was just the aggressive drives. It almost just seemed like Riley was like a split second behind. But moving on to our number 4th team, we have our single largest faller of the men's doubles poll. We have in our 5th place slot, we have the Columbus Sliders. This was our number 1 preseason team. Eric, you agreed with the consensus. You had them at 5th. Do we need to pump the brakes on the Andre Diascu hype train? What's going on here?
Matty, I'm going to put you on the spot, and if you don't have the answer, that's completely fine. Do you have any idea how CJ and Andre did in Orlando versus Roscoe? I know They played 6 matches.
CJ and Andre went 3-3, and Roscoe and Andre went 2-3.
Yeah, so here's the deal. I think we had them as a consensus number 1, right? And you can't go 3-3 in 6 matches and then expect to stay. Okay. Here's what I'll say about the Sliders, and this is more of a larger conversation. Maybe this belongs in the power rankings. I love all of the Sliders individually. I think all of them are playing very good ball right now, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking for whatever reason. I think they've even won a gold on the PPA Tour recently. But I think CJ was a little bit rattled in Orlando and sped some stuff up that he shouldn't be speeding up. And then he obviously, unfortunately, got sick in his hometown event. That was, just not great. So hopefully he's able to bounce back. I think if he's just able to stay within himself and create longer points, I think they're going to end up, definitely in the top 5, probably even closer to the top 3 overall. But right now, with CJ being sick and their 3-3 record, I just don't love what's going on there.
And included in that 3-3 record, Zane might have a little insight, trailing 9-4. You and Will House were able to come back and pull off a come from behind victory into that. So, one blown lead can really change the whole outlook on how we have with limited data on this. Zane, I'll turn over to you there.
Yeah, well, definitely. I feel like we're, they have fallen. We can't keep them at number 1, but I feel like it is a little bit of a overcorrection in my opinion because, look, they played a 3-3 Orlando weekend, and they also had a brutal schedule in Orlando. And then we had Roscoe playing with Andre. So, I like them still ahead. I think they win against Christian and Eric a majority of the time, and we have Christian and Eric at 4. I still like their matchups against just about anybody. I think they will find it, and I think that they're going to end the season in the 2-3 sort of conversation. I think we've probably overcorrected a little bit. I still really, really like that team, and I think they'll figure it out. But yeah, if we've got to power rank them right now, I've got them at 4. You guys all have them at 5, other than the fans, because the fans obviously know ball. Nope.
Yeah, and shout out to the fans. Speaking of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the fans were exactly lined up with our consensus. So the fans were definitely cooking with this. Steady at 6 from our preseason, we have Brooklyn. Then we have the New Jersey Fives coming in at the 7th spot. Zane, I have you down at 9. I'll pause for just a second. You can tell me I'm an idiot if you want to.
It doesn't need to be said.
Perfect.
It's known.
And then here is kind of where things like get really interesting. We have tied at 8 two teams that are kind of on completely different trajectories. We have the Miami Pickleball Club men, Jay DeVilliers and Noe Cliff. They're up 5 spots, tied at number 8 now. So they were 13th preseason. And then the less fun story also tied there is the Johns brothers. What are we going to make of that? I mean, what do we see from the Johns brothers going forward? How do you even power rank a team like this? I'm just going to turn it over to whoever wants this one.
Nobody wants this, especially not the Johns brothers. So, I mean, yeah, like
I'll go. I really like Miami. Like, Miami just beat Hayden and Gabe. And they are both super athletic. They can both play both sides. Jay is moving unbelievably right now. And no offense to anyone, but he is playing with a Yola paddle and looks like a very different player. So I really like this team. And it looks like they are they're really in it and they look like a team. And so I think that's a big factor in MLP. You see time and again where some of these players are playing above their PPA levels. And I think a lot of that has to do with their team environment and their ability to step up in big moments. And I like those two. So I firmly on an upward trajectory for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I like Miami as a team. Like, I just think, I think, it depends on Ben and Colin's effort level, but I do think that they're not the number one team, even if they're fully engaged at this point, right? Like, Ben is probably number one player, but the margin that he has between the next crew is smaller than ever and continuing to diminish. Like, and I think that the margin between Colin and the rest of that, the rest of the game is growing, right? So I don't think that they are an engaged Ben and Colin are behind Gabe and Hayden, Dylan and Fed, Augie, maybe not Augie and J-Dub, but CJ and Roscoe, without a doubt. A disengaged team is behind Augie and J-Dub, me and Will, Noe and Jay, potentially even. Like, other than that, I don't see them falling further down there. But yeah, I think that the average there is a factor of their engaged ability and their disengaged ability.
And quite frankly, you do have to dock them points because what if this happens again? If they're not going to play, that's going to hurt the team. And I think that has to be a very real consideration. So moving on, before we move past Miami too, like I talked about it for women's doubles, but this MLP Austin event, and I'm not just hyping it up because it is at the Austin Pickle Ranch here in town, but it is going to be a bloodbath for men's doubles as well. It's really going to be sink or swim, especially for, I think, Zane's team, the New Jersey Fives and the Miami Pickleball Club. But moving down to wrap up our rankings, we have at 10 and 11, the Utah Black Diamonds and the LA Mad Drops. We just haven't seen much of these teams yet. We have Chicago and Atlanta tied at 12, Phoenix Flames at number 14, and then 2 unanimous rankings to close it out. We have the New York Hustlers and the SoCal Heart-Eights. That's going to do it for men's doubles. I'm going to hand it off to, I don't know who, but somebody for mixed doubles.
So in mixed doubles, we have Georgia and JW Johnson taking the number 1 spot, which is interesting to me because they are 4-0. They took over the number 1 spot from the preseason number 1, which was Anna Lee and Will, who are 6-0. Followed by, we have a unanimous number 3 in Anna Bright and Hayden Patriquin. So all of you guys had Georgia and J-Dub as number 1. Who wants to make the argument of why Georgia and J-Dub are better than Anna Lee and Will?
For me, again...
You don't because you can't. You don't because you can't. Come on, Matty.
I will say... I do think, again, point differential, even though maybe they haven't been tested as much as some of the other teams, especially only playing 4 matches, 4-0 is not as impressive as maybe a 6-0. The point differential, again, 44-7, I'll mention again, and this does pay me to say because the Dallas Flash are my rivals, I do hate them, but Georgia Johnson's just playing incredible ball right now.
Yeah, I think Will Howes is also playing really good pickleball right now. I think he had a little bit of a slump in MLP Orlando, losing a couple matches. I felt like he kind of had, I don't want to say like weight on his shoulders. He came in talking a big game, but I think he can back it up. I think he will continue to perform well. He has Annalie Waters. He told me before all of MLP started, he said, I don't think it's unrealistic to say that me and Annalie Waters could be mixed doubles partners one day in the PPA Tour. So he believes in himself, and you need that to be the top player, one of the top players in the world. So I like that attitude from him. I still have J-Dub and Georgia as number one because, once again, they are an amazing team together. They have a really good environment. Not saying that the New Jersey Fives don't, but I think there's a connection there. They play all the PPA tours together. But again, if you're playing J-Dub and Georgia versus Annalie and Wills, I think it's pretty close each match or each game.
Yeah. Well, moving on from there, we had Anna Bright and Hayden Patriquin. And the interesting thing was they switched up the lineup between Orlando and Columbus. So Anna and Hayden started out playing with Gabe and Kate, respectively, and then they switched over in Columbus, and they had 6-0 records in both lines. Anna playing with Hayden and Kate playing with Gabe, which led to their preseason move. We ranked Kate and Gabe at 14th initially, and they're all the way up to 5 for a change of rank of 9. So, Eric, you are actually highest on them at number 4 overall. Take us through that ranking.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think the way MLP is operating this year really affected that decision between the two lines, right? So they started out with different mixed lines and then switched back to their normal mixed lines. And the reason I think for that, obviously they had a loss or 2 in there. I can't remember in Orlando. But with you having to put out your lineups the night before and having no say, like what's happening, you don't know if you're going to go 1-1 in gender doubles. You don't know if you're going to go 0-2 or 2-0. Like you don't know what's going to happen. I think they just decided, okay, if we have these two teams, a 1A and a 1B, there's a chance we lose both. But if we put out an A team and a B team, we're going to win when Hayden and Anna play. But here's the deal. Like, Gabe and Kate went 6-0. Last year, they won 5 total matches all together, and they've already won more than that in 2 events, and they've only played really 1 event together. What I'll say about that team is this. Gabe has gotten more confident since the beginning of last MLP season in mixed doubles. He's playing much better. He won gold with Jesse on the PPA Tour. And Kate has, honestly, in mixed doubles, to me, has become like a freaking reset machine. Like, it's just, oh, you want to attack me? I'll reset. You want to attack me? I'll reset. Transition zone, unbelievable. And then her dinking is just as good as the top level women. So, like, she needed to get better from the beginning of last year. We all knew that. And I think she has done that, especially in mixed. So they're a dangerous team. I know they're probably going to go up against some of the other team's first teamers, and they're definitely not going to continue on at 6-0, hot streak. But if they win half their matches, half their games, and then Hayden and Anna win 80%, 90% of theirs, that's going to be a really tough team to get any points off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, to Eric's point, they actually have been running up Gabe and Kate against the better mixed team more often than not. They've faced a higher average duper than Anna and Hayden have. And also, like, they're getting, like, legit. These are, like, impressive wins. Andre and Paris, they beat them 11-2. They beat Jesse and Tyson 11-1. They beat Fed and Lacey. Like, they're getting legit wins against other teams' best mixed teams, which we'll talk about those, I'm sure, in the team-wide power rankings, but it's a pretty scary thought.
Yeah, well, so, Matty, I got a question for you now, because you're obviously a huge Ranchers fan, but you absolutely hate Tina Pisnik and Eric Onsens. Why do you hate Tina Pisnik and Eric Onsens so much? You putting them at number 13, whereas Eric has them at 6. Kaitlyn has them at 8 because of her crush on Eric Onsens. But, like, tell me Matty, why do you hate? Which one do you hate? Do you hate Tina or do you hate Eric?
Shout out GM of the Texas Rangers, Ryan DeWidgeon. He has texted me before saying, Matty, when the team you support is good, you're allowed to be a homer. Like, what the hell, man? So I think maybe I miss here. I'm just like, we've seen 4 games, 4 single games from this team. I think I just would like to see it a little bit more. They did. Let's see. I have in my notes here. They lost to Diascu and Paris Todd, which is a fine loss, and then they beat Jackie Kawamoto and Riley Newman. They are just a fun team. Yeah, they probably could be a little bit higher than some of these other teams, but I just would like to see it, what they do in Austin, and they will be tested there for sure.
Maddie, you're floundering. All right. Tice, you have Catherine.
Editor, cut that.
Tice, you have Catherine and Kwong, who are 2-1 only, down at number 14, which fans have them at 11. I had them at 8. What's up with, what do you dislike about that pairing?
I probably missed on this, to be honest, if we're being completely honest, but it's so hard right now. I'll say this. In another month, I think all 4 of us are going to feel so much better about our power rankings because everybody's going to have more than like 2 matches. Kwong and Catherine are a good team. I probably should have had them a little bit higher. Kwong has been a little inconsistent, especially on the PPA Tour recently. He hasn't been making as many doubles as he was earlier. I know he plays a tough game, right? It's like, it's either swing for the fences and hope you hit some home runs. And if you don't, you might lose some. And Catherine's just super steady and bringing more power on the right. So I could easily see them moving way up in my power rankings after Phoenix, depending on that, because I don't think they play in Austin, but I do think they play in Phoenix. And I think after Phoenix, we're really going to know a little bit more about all these teams.
Yeah, and Kwong has been released from Selkirk prison, so that is an important note there as well. All right.
Sipik? Is that how you say
it? He's now with Timu Selkirk. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like they should have done a little bit more work on the logo, but you know what? It is what it is. Selkirk does have great branding, so that's not a bad thing.
Money talks. Money talks.
Absolutely. So let's move on then to the overall power rankings. Kaitlyn, what do you got for us?
All right, guys, this is the one everyone's been waiting for. Definitely my favorite topic. We're going to talk about overall power rankings for MLP teams here in the premier level. All right, so Dallas Flash and the St. Louis Shock, we had 1 and 2. But the only person to have the St. Louis Shock over the Dallas Flash was good old Zane. Why do you got St. Louis Shock over the Dallas Flash, the reigning MLP champion?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the St. Louis Shock, I think they were certainly up there last year in terms of who's the best team is, and I think they've gotten better. I mean, the fact that Kate and Gabe are playing so well together is scary for the rest of the field. Also, the Flash are 4-0. Who have they beaten? They've beaten nobody, right? The Shock have had a decent strength of schedule. They've played some easy matches, and they've played some pretty good teams as well. They're out there with 2.88 points per match through 8 full matches, only dropping 1 point, meaning 1 win in a Dream Breaker. I think that it's easy to go on a run of 4 3-0 wins or 3-point wins if you're the Flash. It's much more difficult. I would rather have 23 points over 8 matches than 12 points over 4 matches, if that makes sense. Especially when
I think that
the record of the teams that the Dallas Flash have played against is 31% win percentage, and the record of the team that the Shock have played is about 50-50. So the strength of schedule is much better for the Shock as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was debating myself whether I was going to put the Shock first here. I think what it comes down to is that this is a very long season, and we saw the St. Louis Shock they were my favorite last year. And then when it came down to it, they all kind of shit their pants during playoffs. So I think it really matters when it comes down to the pressure moments. But we all had them the same. Now let's get into the New Jersey Fives and the Texas Ranchers. Again, we all had these 3 and 4. I was the only one to take the Ranchers over the New Jersey Fives. Tice, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we only have the 6 matches in the 4, right? Like, Megan did not look great early in the first couple. Like, after, I think you guys won the first one, and I think they had Megan do the interview after, and she was like, I was just I just wanted to make every ball. I was so nervous. But then afterwards, it started to get better, but they also lost to the Shock at the end. And Texas only has the 4 matches. So it's really tough. And here's the scary part to me. I don't mean this as like a jab or anything, but I would say in those 4 matches, Eric Onsens was probably the best player for the Ranchers, and Christian was like so for his level, right? Like Christian was very good, don't get me wrong, but for his like potential level, he was so for me. And so if they can get him going at like 95 to 100%, then they're going to be really scary in Texas. I will say this, I know I'm backing up a little bit, but I think the Shock, to Zane's point, are very excited that they have 8 matches and 23 points, and they're not playing in Austin because the Flash, the Fives, the Ranchers, the Squeeze, they're all playing there, and it's going to be a bloodbath of like the top teams. So I think the Shock are happy they're not there.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I just want to mention is I think the Shock have fully leaned in this season. They brought the guys out. They're filming, a series. They started like a St. Louis Shock Barstool account. They had the whole extravaganza with, with their COO and Annalie Waters on the sidelines. They blew that up to the security guy. I think they're really leaning in, and the chemistry seems to be really good once again. But to your point, I think Eric Onsens is just on fire right now. So I think, for me, that's kind of why I had the Texas Ranchers. I think, like you said, Christian Alshon did not play up to his potential. And Eric Onsens, if he's playing that well and they can win men's and their mix, I think they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah, I think despite a less than stellar outing from Christian Alshon and a kind of confusing loss to the Chicago Slice men for that team that looked good otherwise, I do think this Texas team feels ahead of schedule than where kind of I thought they would be just after 4 matches.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 big movers from our last time was Miami. They're our biggest mover up, whereas the Slice dropped 6 spots in the power rankings from 4 to 10. Matty, you got any insights into what happened with these 2 teams?
Well, for Miami, they still do have to play the other 4 teams that will be attending MLP Austin. That, of course, is Dallas, Orlando, Texas, and New Jersey. And those are 4 of the top 5 points in terms of points per match. So, again, maybe I'm just harping on this point too much. It's going to be a bloodbath. I'm so excited. I'm going to be there. My goal is to talk so much shit to Zane that I get ejected. Maybe he's crying by the end of it. I don't know. It's going to be fun. But
Game on.
As far as game on, yeah, let's do it, man. That's like Miami. I've been legitimately impressed with them. Like I was so low on them coming into the season because a lot of these teams just had at least one player that, to be frank, I just hadn't really seen play before. And Maya Bowie, you can see the potential. So I mean, for me, it's like seeing her potential. You can really see what this team wants to be, and also it just does feel like Jay DeVilliers is just playing better ball. So that's kind of it for me on those teams.
I mean, one person we didn't bring up much on this pod is Noe. I think Noe has large potential. I mean, he has high upside. I think he's been working on his game more than most. We talked about Maya, we talked about, Millie, and we talked about Jay, but I think he deserves some credit as well. All right, and last, the Slice dropped 6 spots. I think Vivian David and Callie Jo Smith were, I think, the biggest surprise for me. I think they had a pretty bad loss. I'm forgetting who they lost to. Was it the Hustlers girls or was it the Hogs woman?
The Slice?
Yeah. I think they lost to
one. Yes, they
of...
lost to Tammy and Zoe Wheel, who is a sub for a sub. So
yes.
You certainly want to be getting that win when you can.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was an interesting loss there. Maybe they're just not having the team chemistry. Obviously, James Ignatowicz with Max Freeman, I thought that they would do better than they did, and their women don't seem to be gelling as much as I believe most thought they would. So I'm interested to see if there's going to be any trades. I think one potential could be in the premier level, Riley Newman. I'm going to look to see if Brooklyn will look to trade him out. I think before the season there was an option for Andre Daescu, and they didn't follow through with it. So I'm interested to see if there will be any trades in the future. Yeah. Matty, do you want to talk about some inanimate objects?
Yes. I got a couple of things. I got a couple of axes to pick grind real quick. First off, the Squeeze, overhyped. They're playing pretty well. They have 2.27 points per match. They lose to the Columbus Sliders most of the time, a healthy Columbus Sliders in my opinion, and I think they may even lose some to the Brooklyn team. I think that the strength of schedule for them is really something that's propelled them to the amount of points. Now, they are still overperforming expectations. I have a hard time putting them over a healthy Columbus Sliders team. And then the rest of you guys, look, I'm there. I wasn't stoked about Ben and Colin. Trust me. I made that very, very clear. They are not the worst team in Major League Pickleball. Give me a break. They do not lose to the SoCal Hard Eights. They don't lose to the Hustlers. They don't lose to the Diamonds. That's just, I think for the most part, minus the tanking, they're not losing to the Phoenix Flames, Atlanta Bouncers either.
Minus the tanking is the key word.
They could tank and beat the SoCal Hard Eights or the New York Hustlers or possibly the Diamonds too.
Maybe.
But you can't say that about the Atlanta Bouncers, because the Atlanta Bouncers are the ones that, sent them on one of the top 2 or 3 crash outs we've ever seen in MLP history.
Yeah, but that's the match that Ben tanked on. Maybe they don't win that mixed match to begin with. Jaume and Glosman is a good team, so let's take Bouncers out of it. There is no way they ever lose to SoCal, New York, without a doubt. At the very minimum, they've got to be ahead of those 2 teams.
In my notes, I specifically have them in timeout. So this is a temporary until I see behavior improvements. They're in timeout.
I actually 100% agree. This was on top of the punitive damage. This is punitive damages for me.
Punishment.
Yeah, you get put into 16 until you can prove that you can try hard for more than a match and a half.
And to be fair, they are 16th in the points per match. So, all right. But I think that they don't lose to SoCal or New York. They can't lose to SoCal.
Here's the question. Do the Johns brothers come back and care? Do they actually come back and care?
Here's the deal. I really, 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 really hope so.
It feels like a rerun of last
year.
They were mid last year, and then this whole thing happened, and they were complaining about the lights again, and they weren't trying again. And then they actually ended up with a top 3 or 4 record as a partnership. That feels on the table. If they want to come back and take back control of the narrative, they absolutely can do it. And it would almost be like a villain arc for them if they came back and just started kicking ass. It'd be very interesting to see.
They have to at this point, if they care at all about their reputation. But please, we're sitting in Atlanta. Oh my goodness. Please rain all weekend. Please. It would make me so happy and play indoors all weekend.
Oh my God. The question that everyone wants, why didn't Dundon pay up for players to surround Ben? That's the big question that no one wants to bring up. I'm not saying that would motivate him a ton more in MLP, but maybe
it couldn't hurt. Couldn't hurt.
This is the thing that we talked about prior to the season. I just think it's hard. It's a very interesting situation that I'm just not sure is going to get much better.
Fair.
Okay, I think we're going to move on. We're going to go to fan favorites. Kaitlyn didn't know we had fan favorites because I forgot to put it in the sheet because thank God for Zane. So we had a poll, and like Zane said, 56 fans voted in the poll. And we did a fan favorite. You can name up to your top 3 favorite teams, right? So it wasn't power rank all 16 teams with your top to bottom, which ones you don't like. although that could be a good segment for a future power ranking. But so you could rank your top team if you like them as a fan, or you could rank up to 3 as a fan. So coming in first by 1 point was the Dallas Flash at 43 points. Second was the St. Louis Shock at 42. Third was New Jersey Fives at 15. So there's a huge drop off there. And then Texas and Atlanta round out the top 5. Any thoughts on that?
Atlanta's surprising.
Atlanta's very surprising. It feels like maybe somebody in the Atlanta organization perhaps emailed their friends and family to make sure that they took a survey. I don't know. I'm not saying that's fact.
It's none of my business.
Did the bouncers bot our poll?
No, it couldn't be.
It's part of their pickleball discrimination.
How about Dallas Flash? As much as I, dislike them once they put on that logo, the players themselves are very likable and they're a winning franchise, clearly committed to winning. The St. Louis Shock, though, seem very likable myself. I feel like Anna Bright's like one of the more likable players. I don't know. Maybe are people a little sour just a little bit with the girlies splitting up? I don't know if that could factor into it. I would have thought that the St. Louis Shock would have come out on top here.
I'm surprised they haven't had any PR from back-to-back fucking bitch weekends.
That's true. I made a chart about it. F&B.
I'm surprised that the New Jersey Fives are significantly lower than the top 2.
I think there's polling.
Have you seen their logo?
Right? Because I feel like I'd be very curious to see how this all went if you're only able to rank 1, because we have people who love us and we have people who hate us. I feel like people who might really like us might also be ranking Shock and Flash very high. People who like the Shock and the Flash hate us, is my theory on this.
One other thing just to think about, and I've been actually thinking about this on another project, but the top 6, it goes Flash, Shock, Fives, Ranchers, Bouncers, and then the Squeeze. I'm looking at the rest of the list. I would say those are the top 6 in terms of social media engagement by far of the premier level teams, and that I'll take it back. The Phoenix Flames.
What about the Brooklyn? What about
Brooklyn? Is Brooklyn okay too, right? But for the most part, those teams are super engaged on social media, which may or may not have anything to do with it. But I thought it was just an interesting takeaway. Yeah,
and all the Brooklyn fans were actually still looking for DC on this list and couldn't find him and gave up.
Yeah. Also, I'm really sorry to all of the Zero Hustler fans who did not vote for you because you got 0 points. I'm sorry.
Do they even have social media? No.
You get what you pay for,
Okay. So we did fan favorite. Now Matty is taking over with his ridiculous topic.
Okay, so I debuted this subject actually when I went back on the Pickle Pod after PPA Las Vegas last year, when the subject of the week, the hot topic in the limelight, was the rollout courts in the casino ballroom. Annalie Waters had rolled her ankle. Everybody was talking about it. And my theory is that every week there is just a different inanimate object that becomes the center of attention. You can guess what it was this past week. It was lights, or rather the lack of lights. So we're going to do a quick power ranking of the inanimate objects that not only have caused the most drama, that we think might cause the most drama in the weeks to come. Remember, an inanimate object cannot do anything on its own. A body part, a middle finger perhaps, is not an inanimate object. And contrary to what Zane initially put in the spreadsheet, refs are not inanimate objects. I know, it's crazy. So a few things that just missed the cut in our top 10 were illegal drugs, the rain, the Desert Ridge cactus, porch plants, sponsor signage, like those little signs on the side, and Zane's old haircut. Those just narrowly missed the top 10. We will now take a look. Coming in at number 10, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the MLP website. Please, dear God, somebody fix this website. At least the results are accurate now, but you still can't even go in and look at what an individual team's results are for this, an event. You have to go through each day on each event to hunt and find what happened in a given match. It drives me crazy. There's so many little things about this website that they just need to iron out. So I'm glad to see that this is getting some representation here. Coming in at number 9, maybe the New Jersey Fives are to blame for this.
Thank the Lord
maybe
for
Christian Alshon.
Eric's. I was gonna say thank the Lord for Eric Tice's different spreadsheets. If you're not on that already, you got to check that out. It has actual results and good information.
Yes, Eric.
And standings based on point per match. Things that, we might get if I think like we're punishing the Carolina Hogs. I feel like Major League Pickleball might be punishing us as fans. We need to be good in order to be rewarded with this type of stuff. That's all. You can continue.
Moving on to our number 9 spot in inanimate pickleball objects that cause drama, we have towels. Will Towels is your partner, Zane. How long should you get to use your towel? You can get like a free timeout if you know how to game the system just right. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. I mean, what is going on here? Coming in at number 8, always present, we have the wind. The wind, it can make even the most skilled pros look like me in the backyard. Relevant
With
clip
basil.
shown here. Yes. I mean, especially some of these early tournaments in the year, especially the one in Florida. I mean, how many whiffs did we see on social media? Coming in at number 7, we have brackets and the random draws associated with them. Kaitlyn, you had this all the way up at number 3. What's going on with these brackets that you think is so controversial?
I don't think anything has quite happened yet with the brackets that are extremely controversial, but I'm just waiting for something to happen because I think the tours are looking for interesting ways to have some of the top players or incomers. If there's a celebrity, I'm pretty sure that they'll bump them up a few spots to get a good draw. So I think that this is one that could be more on the horizon.
Definitely. They do currently have the right to give wildcards as they see fit. Additionally, if you don't have a contract and you're the number 11th player, have fun in the qualifiers. So maybe there has already been a little bit of drama there. Number 6, I had this at 3. Zane had this at 3 just because it was center stage this past week. We have lights. I mean, Zane was just talking about the rain. If we move indoors again, do we see a repeat? Are we going to run it back? Who's to say? Coming in at number 5, we have cameras with low frame rates. We need to get close call replay or some similar system back in here. They are just asking for it. Now, remember, the actual physical act of making a bad out call is not itself an inanimate object, so it was not eligible, but I think that's why we are seeing cameras here at number 5. In number 4, we have hot mics, whether people are talking about Tyra's so-called shitty drives, whether they're NSFW jokes being shared, or just the hot goss of the day. Kaitlyn, number 1. Eric Tice, number 1.
I am so confused about the mics because like when I was hosting MLP Orlando, I see like a mic on one side of, somebody's bench and not on the other. You never know how really hot they are. Some of the players are extremely aware of them. They won't even have conversations with me near a bench, even if it's far away from the bench because they're worried about the mic. In other situations, people are talking freely. I feel like PPA just like puts them on and off when they want. I'm so confused. I don't think all the mics are always on. I don't know. I think the placement's weird.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be more drama.
I think there's 100% going to be more drama. So it's like, oh, we haven't really had a drama something in the last month. Let's just throw some mics on random courts and not tell anybody, and then we're going to get something. And it feels like we haven't had that in a while, so I feel like it's coming up pretty soon.
The number 3 on our list, we are in our top 3. We have balls, which does include the vaguely round objects that we used to play with called Vulcans. However, with the new Lifetime Ball, I've heard some good things coming out about it. It is going to be front and center this week at PPA Atlanta, so I feel like this is primed to take center stage this week. Zane had them at number 2, but it did come in at number 3 overall. On number 2, this is another subject that is just evergreen. You never know when it will strike, whether it is the rollout courts, whether it is the lack of grit, whether it is the obnoxious orange or paint color around the outsides. We have courts. They are just always a factor, and they are always it's always an underlying little bit of drama. Is this going to be the week where we have all the dead spots? And our number 1 inanimate object that causes pro pickleball drama, self-explanatory. It is an evergreen subject. We have paddles. So there you go. That is our top 10 top 10 inanimate objects that cause professional pickleball drama.
That was my favorite segment yet. Thank you, Matty Pickles.
Woo!
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of the Power Rankings podcast. As always, please give us any feedback that you have. This is only our 3rd episode trying to make this better and better. So let us know and make sure to stay engaged when we ask for more rankings with you guys. We got 50 the previous time and 56 this time. Those are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers up. But thank you to the 56 that were a part of this. Thank you very much. Hey guys, we could use your help with the next Power Rankings episode. We're going to be including which pro you would most want to partner with, which pro you would most want to body bag, and which paddle reviewing nerds you think are the best. So please submit your votes by using the link in the description down below and help out me, Matty Pickles, KK, and T-Dog with the next Power Rankings episode.